was able to employ about 250 people across all the 5 branches that I had. And my employment style was that I used to take people from the low segment where they are struggling for education. Or I don't go beyond saying that, okay, I want an MBA guy, I want those kind of. I used to take people and train them. And today I'm happy that all those people who was part of my organization are doing extremely well in their life. I taught them the basics. I'm proud of that.
I actually saw that you do a lot of media stuff. Like you did a couple of podcasts, you had your own YouTube channel at some point. Is that a passion project of yours?
It's not a passion. After moving here, I got into it. People started like how you invited. So I keep being invited. And slowly it became part of. And now I'm also getting, I'm at least and 2 events per week I attend as a keynote speaker. And I choose it basically because it's all different subjects. Last week there was an event by College Times who wanted to talk about blockchain. Then there was an event by somebody who wanted to talk about data centers. So each subject is different. And when they called me as a keynote speaker, I'm not an expert in any of this. But what I do is I do my research to prepare the keynote speech. So that gives me a knowledge. So it's a passion to learn more. That's it.
I get that. Your curiosity never really died, which is awesome. I feel like with so much experience across manufacturing, operations, supply chain, logistics, media, HR, like there's a whole bunch of verticals I can ascribe to your name. Walk us through that journey, perhaps, to begin with. How did your career really start, and how did it transition to where you are now?
See, I started my career as a, what do you call it, as a lecturer. I was teaching computer science in a women's college in Mangalore called St. Agnes. I started my career there. My first job was there to teach students. I was the youngest teacher there. I was 23 at that time. So I had my challenges there. Being a women's college, they made my life miserable. In the sense, how gets ragging and all. So it was.
You got ragged in a women's college?
I was too young at that time, and to be honest with you, it's a computer science. I used to take the theory lectures and practicals. I used to sit and study the whole night for the next day morning's class. As soon as I go to the class itself, they start ragging and I'll forget what I'm supposed to teach. So it happened for quite some time. And then I got used to it. But then after a year, I thought that is not my cup of, it's not my. So I moved on and then I took up the job with a corporate in Chennai, which is the Murugappa Group, which is one of the largest group in South India. I joined as a management trainee there, and I was put in the factory. It's a place called Ranipet. You must be knowing Ranipet, near Velur.
Yeah.
So there we had our bathroom product manufacturing factory. So I was a management trainee. So management trainees are kind of treated like they are substitutes. If somebody goes on leave, okay, you go and look after that job. They don't have a specific role to do with, and it's a part of the training. So I joined as a production planning executive. Then I went into manufacturing. Then I went into product designing. Then I went into logistics, dispatch. So I was able to cover almost all the functions in that thing, and there I grew in my career. Each level of hierarchy I got into, and I stayed with the Murugappa Group for almost 15 years at that point of time. And after that, what happened was my boss, who was the vice president, he moved to Oman to set up an tile manufacturing unit. So because of the uh, way of my working or acquaintance with him, he pulled me out. And I had a tough time in getting myself relieved with the Murugappa Group. They were not relieving me, but finally I got relieved. I went to Oman. I was there for about 10 years. We set up the plant. It's doing extremely well now. And then I moved back to the Murugappa Group itself, the company from where I came back. So if you see in my bio, there'll be only 2 companies which I have worked for almost 30 years. Because I don't believe in jumping from one company to other. Because I never saw financial benefits as my prime focus. My prime focus was job satisfaction. And Murugappa Group was one place which I had that satisfaction. And they treat everybody very well, because they're one of those corporates who believe in delegation of authority and so on. So I enjoyed that. And went back to the group, and I was heading the country as logistics head, supply chain logistics. And I think in 2010, I always had that inner passion to become an entrepreneur. But I was not prepared, because I never had that kind of resources, whether it is financial or anything, because I come from a middle class family. My father was working abroad, and my mother also was working. So I had those challenges. And then in the year 2010, I said, okay, let me attempt. And I started my entrepreneur journey I quit the company. I quit Murugappa Group, and then I started my own. But yes, the Murugappa Group was quite supportive in terms of giving me the distribution of bathroom products in Cochin. Then later on they added on Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra. So they were supportive. And then from there I grew, and for 10 years it was a journey which I enjoyed a lot as an entrepreneur. Built my career. Started different verticals. Started with distribution, then I went to customer care, then I went to facility management. So we were working with companies like Swiggy, Ola, all those brands at that point of time. And as far as the customer care is concerned, we're working with Samsung, we're working with Roka, Hintware, many brands. And I was also, the most important thing was that I was able to employ about 250 people across all the 5 branches that I had. And my employment style was that I used to take people from the low segment, where they are struggling for education, or I don't go beyond saying that, okay, I want an MBA guy, I want those kind of. I used to take people and train them. And today I'm happy that all those people who was part of my organization are doing extremely well in their life, because I taught them the basics. I'm proud of that. The year 2018, there was a flood that happened in Cochin, which most of the people might know. Their disaster stuck, in the sense I lost everything in my house, my office, my warehouse. Everything was completely under water. And I didn't know what to do at that point of time. And then COVID happened. And I went through several depressions. I had a heart attack. So a lot of things happened in my life. And I think in 2019, I happened to be in UK for a meeting or conference or something, where I happened to meet Sheikh Ahmed, coincidentally. We had a long chat, and then he said, come over. And the rest is, I would call it as destiny. So today I'm here. I'm happy that I'm associating with him, and life has changed a lot now. How I've seen, because working with the royals, people normally see their flashy style, but heart of heart, they're very humble. Humility is something which he taught me, to be grounded always. So that is something which I think we need to learn from them, because they never show the money power to anyone. They don't boast about what they do for others. I think those are all things that has made me more close to him. And of course, the freedom of work. Once that trust is built, they don't interfere at all. And any projects you take it saying that, okay, we want to do this, okay, go ahead. That is a kind of freedom that we enjoy. That because of that, we were able to do a lot of things, and also now planning to do a lot of things. So I think, yeah, that is something which is great. And I'm still, I believe there's a lot more to be done. Because last week on 7th of April, I celebrated my 60th birthday.
Congratulations.
So that is where I am today.
I think a very important piece that you probably should highlight is on what exactly does Dunston Pereira do? And I believe like on your LinkedIn, it says Ambassador Dunston Pereira. What is Ambassador Dunston Pereira's role exactly?
Ambassador is a designation that has been given by a couple of countries. It's not a diplomatic kind of thing, but I have another side of myself where I work with almost 15 NGOs, which is where I cherish a lot, in the sense most of these NGOs are based out of Africa, and we are doing a lot of works with them. In the sense, just to give you a small example, we are working on, or we have set up toilets for a women only school in an interior part of Nigeria. So they never had a toilet. So the children were all suffering. They had to wait till they go back home. So like that, we are doing a lot of things with these NGOs to enhance their lifestyle. And today we are working with at least about 14 African countries at the government level to improve the life of people there on various levels, be it infrastructure, be it roads, be it airports, be it transport system. So I think that is a reason which I enjoy. Other than the work which I am doing, these kind of activities keep me serving the society, because I believe that there is a purpose. Because when I went through those health challenges, right, about 3-4 years back, and if I'm still alive back, it means that God has kept me back for a purpose. And if I don't deliver that back to the society, the purpose of me living is not met.
I think that was something I was about to ask you, like how this humanitarian cause came to be, why you dedicated a certain portion of your life to it. But I understand why now. Is there a goal with this? Is there something you would like? Because we as humans, we have visions, we have big dreams. Is there a dream that you're working towards on the humanitarian side? Something you'd like to be able to do for society?
Yes, absolutely. Today, I would like to help as many people as I can. And today also, if you see, keeping aside this humanitarian works where it is predominantly charitable, or okay, it's not only the financial support that we are rendering there, we are also giving a lot of other things. Apart from that, you won't believe, I get at least 1,000 resumes per month in my inbox, either by mail, by LinkedIn, or whatever it is. And it doesn't go into the waste basket. I have a team who reviews it, analyzes it, park it somewhere. And whenever there's an opportunity within the group, we make sure that we take it from that. And also on a monthly basis, we are registering at least about 10 to 12 companies, new companies, which are partnering with us as a joint venture. So we make sure that the manpower is supplied from those. So those are, because see, when somebody is approaching me for a for a help, for a job. If I can, I will.
I think that's a brilliant way of paying it forward. And I think you have I think you can agree, a very composed attitude about you, a very relaxed, calming persona. I want to almost rewind back to 2010. You've been working at that point for 15 plus years, give or take. And now for the first time, you've decided to do something entrepreneurial, right? You had this itch, you needed to scratch it. That requires a very different mindset, different skill set from what you've been doing already. How did you approach that? What did you learn immediately? What was different that you didn't have before? And did you over time develop this? Maybe it's a two-part question. The second part being, did you over time develop this confidence and in your leadership or your philosophy of leadership that allowed you to say, hey, I'll only hire people that I'll train and I'll put them to work? Because the cop out, the easy way to do it is I'll take an MBA. I'll take someone with 10 years of experience. But you said, I know enough. I believe I can trust myself to teach them and they will take it forward, which is incredible. So
I had that confidence. And I wanted to really, because if you see, when I started my first branch in Cochin, okay, I took people from the interiors of Cochin, not from the metro, not from the capital of Cochin, the flashy, the interiors of Cochin, who have most of the people, their father was a cycle mechanic, somebody was a painter, somebody was a mason. So those are the kind of, but over a period of 10 years, I could see their life changing. I'm not saying that it was a highly paid organization or whatever it is, but at least those they had their own. And many of them, I not only employment, I made sure that they learned something in the process, like whether it is computers, whether it is English language, or whether it is accountancy. So I spend a part of my income in educating them, not only giving them the job, but also giving them an education which will enhance their skills and make them more competent in the market. So I think that is something which I did. Second is, see, I could have continued my journey till now as an employee with the Murugappa Group, because life was simple. I mean, though there are targets, we could achieve it because we had that monopoly, and salary used to hit the account by 28th. So life was thing, but I had that urge that I need to do something. And I think starting my own and becoming an entrepreneur made me more courageous, which is why today I am able to handle this function much easily, because it gave me that courage. Because there were a lot of challenges. I started with my own capital. I never went out for outside capital. Later on I did, but initially I started with my own capital. So I had that ups and downs, because unless you perform, you don't get. And there are challenges. You have to pay the salaries. You have to pay the rent of the office. You have to buy products to sell. So those are all challenges which we overcome. But that made, that polished me into what I am today.
And I think this is also quite interesting, right? You started off teaching computer science and then changes, procurement, this, that. And, currently with the royal family, and before the podcast, we were talking about the film industry, right? Like there is a lot of different interests and fields. And I would imagine like a common consensus that Anas and I have is that, Anas, hey, you work morning to night, like work extra hours. I work morning to night, sometimes work extra hours. And it is a fascinating thing for us to come every Saturday and do this, right? And I would imagine somebody who's been in that corporate structure, like in, out, targets, this, that. How did you have the ability to delve into other fields? Like, for example, film, like how did you delve into it? Like, what was that?
Films, actually, what happened was that during my younger days, or during my initial career age, I had a lot of friends in the film industry. Okay, they were either producers, directors. So in fact, I have even acted in 3 movies.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I'm also acting in his movie as the main antagonist. So
is it like a way for your son to tell you something?
maybe. Yeah. What he couldn't do now, maybe he'll do in front of the camera.
We'll get tickets for sure.
So it was never a passion, but when they said, okay, why don't you do a role, I opted for it. Then I did that. So that was always within me. So I wanted to I wanted to do something in the films, but somehow it didn't happen. And I didn't have that kind of a time flexibility. The parents were also not kind of supporting. So today, when I had the opportunity, I wanted to do something in the film industry and see how we can support the film fraternity. That's the reason why we are on the discussions of setting up a film city. We call it as a film city. It's almost maybe around 200-300 acres of land. And I really wanted to, because I know the weak points in the industry. So we wanted to see how we can support and make this region the hub for global cinema. We don't want people to go to Hollywood or Bollywood. We want to retain them in these people. So along with that, the other ancillary industries also develop, like travel and tourism, and you name it.
How do you manage the difference in the way you look at, expanding into something new, the feasibility of it, the risk of it, etc., both financially and operationally, in something maybe you haven't tackled before? Like, you've done manufacturing, supply chain, logistics for so long, and then you've decided to foray into film. How do you approach that as a new concept in an industry that you have to now build in?
No, film is only one of the ventures that we are looking at, like setting up film city. And I know the viability because I've been interacting with a lot of people in the film industry here, including the Abu Dhabi Film Commission. The earlier film commissioner, Mr. Hans, was a good friend of mine. So he has told me what are the challenges that he faced when he was there. So all those things we are trying to see how we can cope up. Because even in Dubai, if you see, there is a production city. We don't have much facilities there. It is only the green screen and a huge hall. But we really need infrastructures that can support the film fraternity. In the sense, if I have to go to Netherlands or if I have to go to Greece, the amount of money that I spend, if that money, 50% of the money is spent in UAE, this region benefits. So that's the whole purpose of it. So in addition to the film city, we are also now setting up a wildlife sanctuary. I'm also a animal lover. So I've got a lot of pets in my house: fish, dog, birds.
I've just gotten very interested because I'm also an animal lover.
So we are planning to set up a wildlife sanctuary here. We already have tied up with a company from South Africa. So initially we had a plan of setting it up in Ras Al Khaimah, but now we are planning to move it to Quwain.
Makes sense. They have two more, right?
Yeah.
Fame Park was there. And
so Quwain, because Quwain is also an emirate, which is an emerging one. So they also need some projects to make sure that their economy is kind of. So discussions are on with the family office of Quwain, the rulers. We're planning to set it up there. It's a huge project, around 380 million. And almost 1,000 species of animals, birds, reptiles are all going to be there. All the big fives will be there, like the lion, tiger, elephant. Everything is going to be there. So I think, that will also create a hype for UAE, because today people are traveling to Tanzania, Kenya. So they can just come over here.
Would you also feel like some of these projects, right, for example, and it's a very interesting question for me because I've been very interested in the film industry for quite a bit, not from I want to direct a movie or act in a movie, but from the financial side of point of view, right? Because I've always thought that in this country, at least as it stands, it's not a very commercialized product as of yet, right? So for you to invest money into building a film city, or even in the case of a wildlife sanctuary, I would imagine this would be heavily capital intensive and things, right? Like, what is the objective in the sense that how long do you see the time span for you to make up that money?
These are all not short-term projects in the sense you don't get the return of investment in the second year, third year, fourth year. It's all sustainable, long-term returns. And we have like-minded partners who are investing on these projects. In the sense, we are not the only, it's not our own kind of a thing. Like for the film city, we may be contributing the land, right? But the investment or the infrastructure is going to be built by X, Y, Z.
Okay, so it's like a private government sort of partnership.
It's a private consortium kind of a thing. The same thing applies to the wildlife sanctuary as well. So we have done those maths in detail, and the investors are also convinced, and that's the reason why we are going ahead with these projects. We are also building another most important project that I keep close to my heart is setting up a pharmaceutical city. Like you have this internet city, you have the production city, you have the international city. Like that, we are setting up a pharmaceutical city project, which will comprise of about at least 15 to 16 large manufacturers of pharmaceutical companies, bringing them there into one location, setting up a city for them in the sense manufacturing unit, labor camp, staff quarters, everything, and facilitate them with the manufacturing process of the medicines. The prime motive of this is 60% of the total production of these medicines, we want to send it to Africa. Because Africa is one nation which I believe, and many others do believe, that it is deprived of good medicines because of the affordability. They're not most of the peoples are not able to afford good medicines. So we are looking at sending 60% of the total production from these pharmaceutical companies to Africa in a very cost-effective manner. Maybe we are looking at a lot of solutions how we can bring down the cost. Like we look at bulk packing instead of the strip packing. We might put everything in a paper bag or something like that. So those are the parameters that we are looking into so that we can bring the cost down and send it across to those places.
And wouldn't you imagine that, like, I'm pretty sure you would know the answer for all of this, right? Like, I'm thinking if you're setting up the pharmaceutical things, again, going back to the film city or the wildlife sanctuary, these would also need specific talent, right? And what is that process of acquiring these talents? Because I would imagine the talent for pharmaceuticals is probably not dime a dozen in the region, right? Like,
no. See, as far as the pharmaceutical company is concerned, again, as I told you, the talents come with those companies. See, for example, if I'm bringing a company which is manufacturing paracetamol, they have their own strength. They are the leaders in those markets. So they have the talents with them. I did not give them the talents. I'm not setting up the factory. I'm giving them the place. You build your factory, you run the factory, and that's how.
And somebody like GSK will bring your talent. But do you not feel like it's necessary to kind of support that industry with local grown talent as well?
Yes, we have. That's the reason why I said we have a database of talents that we have, which our team will review. And if anybody is suiting those positions, we will plug it.
I feel like your approach to planning, strategy, investments, like I'll give you context. Maybe he's given you a bit. But the both of us have worked in the investment space. You know, at some point in his life and currently in my life, our day-to-day, job is literally to look at investments, figure out if it makes sense, run the numbers, run the strategic element, and see logically if it makes sense. Your approach is so fascinating. I've never met someone who said the holding period, as in how long we can hold the investment until we get money back. The holding period is infinite, right? It's incredible.
Yeah, which is completely contradictory to what we do, right? Like everything's like poop, short.
Yeah, we need a payback period in 4.35 years, which means our investors get 27% IRR on 4 years. For you, it's like you will build something sustainable from the ground up, and you will not own the downstream or the midstream. You're upstream. You own the whole thing, and then people will then create value add within it.
Because these are all destinations. We're creating a destination, like Film City, because Film City is not only for the shooting purpose. It will also be a tourist spot. So tomorrow we are looking at those that is our vision.
Yeah, the cash flow is not just a
Yeah.
film
So
production,
if you
but
see in the year 2024, I think about as per the statistics, I think about 70 million people have visited UAE, which we expect it to at least double this year. So we need those kind of destinations. So probably in another 3 years or 4 years, we are going to touch about 100 million. So we are not still prepared for that, because whether it is the hospitality or the hotel industry, it's all still there is a shortage.
How do you run? I see. Again, for us, it's very simple. Look at an investment opportunity, create a valuation model, figure out what the math is, and then work backwards from there on your strategy and see if it makes sense in strategy as well as financials. How would you even run a feasibility, for example, for something like a production city? Because you're planning something that's never been done before. You're planning something with no market research.
it's also very hard to find comparable, right? I
Yeah,
would
there's
imagine Hollywood and Bollywood were organically grown, right? Like everybody organically moved to LA, or
That's a
everybody,
very good point.
right?
Actually,
But
most
this
of
is
Dubai is
artificial, right? Like we are artificially replicating Hollywood, Bollywood side of systems, right? So how would you think like there is literally nothing to compare to in this case,
Yeah,
right?
we want to be that unique proposition, and it's all once the film city is done, we know that how we can bring in the business, because of course we will be working on some cash rebates. See, for example, today cash rebates are being offered by different countries, but again they have not been so successful, basically because of the lack of infrastructure. See, for example, if I am going to give 40% cash back for a particular destination, and if I go there I don't see anything, I may not be interested, because that's not what I am looking at for my
It's a very, what do you say, like a versus sort of situation between like the artist telling a story and countries trying to make money, right? Like it's a like a conflicting situation,
Yes,
right? Like you can offer 40% rebate, but my story may not be perfectly shot next to the Burj Khalifa. Like I want to talk a story about farmers, right? Kind of, right? So in this case, right, like when you are thinking about this, what are the gaps in the market, especially when it comes to the film city? Like what is that gap?
the gap I would say is definitely the infrastructure, number one. Second is the talents, because you need those talents. If somebody is coming and saying that tomorrow I need 1,000 people, we should be prepared for that. So those are the things that we need to work out. In the sense, in the click of the button or on a phone, we should be able to bring in 1,000 people tomorrow to be the part of the crew. So having said this, where I spoke only about the big projects, there are a lot of small things also where we are working, in the sense with the newcomers. Like for example, somebody new is coming into UAE who wants to set up a business. So we work with them. We work on a JV, joint venture company, register. We support them. We handhold them. And those companies, we work on a strict ROI, in the sense those are all companies who small timers. These are all destination kind of thing, long
when
term.
you say small time, what's the size of transaction you're saying? Because I think we have a different understanding of small time.
Small to mid, I would say, the sense like we have within the group, we have manpower recruiting company, we have travel companies. Those are all I would consider it as a small scale companies. Mid-sized companies, like recently we have signed with a company called SVG, where we are planning to manufacture lithium batteries. Now, lithium batteries, these are not the small lithium batteries that we're looking at. Each battery is the size of a 20-feet container. Okay, so these are going to be used in the grids, like solar power connected with the grid. The advantage of putting a lithium battery in between the grid and the solar power is that whenever the solar power is in short, the lithium battery will supply the power to the grid, and so vice versa. So this will balance the flow, so there is a consistency in. So we are trying to implement this and expand this business in many other countries as well. So as a family office, one more advantage that we have is that we have our representative offices in about 22 countries. and I have a team of about 22 directors from each country reporting to me. So what happens is, the group companies that we set up, whether it is a consulting company, whether it is a fintech company that is with the artificial intelligence, they grow not only in UAE, but we also help them to grow in these countries where we have our presence. So they have a lateral growth. Simultaneously, they are able to expand in different countries. Recently, we have signed with a spice company from Mumbai. It's called Vandu Spices, one of the leading players there. They recently went for an IPO as well. So they're going to implement their spices here. Simultaneously, they are also launching these products in Sri Lanka, Philippines, Indonesia, Pakistan, where we have our presence. So that is the kind of growth that they're able to.
Yeah, I'd imagine if your value chain extends 22 countries,
Hmm.
then any investment that you make automatically gets accelerated, right? It's exponential growth.
Yeah.
In that way, how much of your day to day is reviewing someone coming to you and saying, "We would like to do a JV, we would like an investment, etc., etc." And how much of it is actually sitting down and brainstorming what you should actually
I
be
meet
doing?
at least 10 people a day, minimum.
You meet, sorry.
10 people a day who come from different parts of the world saying that we wanted to start a business here. And then the team reviews it and give them the briefing. And if it is a viable project, we support them and take it forward. Because, see, for example, if you are coming to me and saying that I want to start a business, I can say, yes, come on, let's do it. But if I know that that is not going to be a viable one, I will be blunt and straightforward, saying that no. Like, it's somebody coming to you and telling me, we want to start a manufacturing for mineral water. Now, I will not support such a business. I'll say, because there are more than 1,000 brands available in this country. You are only trying to tell him, okay, it's a viable business, start. We will not do that. So we will tell him, don't do it. Instead of that, think of something else. Come back to us. So that is a kind of.
You need to give good feedback.
Yeah.
And then the flip side is how much of it your day-to-day activities is that versus monitoring what you're already doing, your portfolio, your investments, your strategic partners.
Yes. We have a integrated system with a dashboard, which I'm able to review, a sort of a ERP, and then we review it on a daily basis. And all these group companies or the JV companies that we form, it is not that we just get a company registered, get them the residence visa or the licenses required and all those things. It is imperative that we review with each one of them. We have a category wise, A category, B category, C category companies. All the A category companies, I sit and review. I'm part of the board. B, my team reviews. So every month we have a review with the board of the respective companies, basically to understand how they're performing. In the sense, we don't get into the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day activities, but on a bird-eye view, what happened last month, what is your this month target, and how confident of. The idea is not to find a fault or whatever it is, but to see what are the hurdles that they are overcoming to achieve their numbers, the targets. And then how we can step in as a family office and iron it out. Like if they are having some difficulties with any of the government agencies or private agencies, however, we step in. Because at the end of the day, all this JV, if they don't perform, we don't benefit, because we are working on a profit sharing at the end of the year. So it is in the interest that we have to make sure that these companies perform well for two reasons. One, the profitability, if it doesn't make, we don't benefit. Number two, they are known as a group of companies of the private office, right? So if they don't perform, the ultimate blame or the name that gets affected is the family office. So we ensure that.
Very interesting. Did your responsibilities day to day change extremely when you went from your MD position in India to the family office, and how did you tackle that change? Like what?
See, today I would say that I'm spending. In my earlier career, I used to spend about maybe when I was working, it used to be an 8-hour job, right? I start from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, maximum by 7. When I became an entrepreneur, I used to spend a little more time, in the sense, because it's my own organization, so I need to spend time. Here, I would say I'm spending a little more time because of the time zones that I'm working with, because we are working on a global market. We are not confined to UAE alone. So if I start my work in the morning at 9 o'clock, I again have to restart the next session in the evening, maybe with a US market or with UK. So there are times where I have slept at 4 o'clock in the night. So my night is also kind of long. So I start my morning meetings a little late. I start only by about 10:30, 11, because the nights are quite hectic. So I would say, yeah, it has taken more of my time, and but I enjoy it.
That's very impressive. I feel like a cool thing to learn from you maybe would be you're really working on macro strategy, right? Like Ras Al Khaimah as an emirate, in some way Sharjah as well. What can we expect from Ras Al Khaimah, for example, or Al Quwain, or the strategy moving forward?
The strategy is at the end of the day, everybody has seen the success of Dubai. It's because of the visionary leaders. They were, and the kind of freedom that they've given to the entire people, be it employees, be it residents, be it citizens, whoever it is. So that success is something which the other emirates would like to adopt, so that the overall economy goes up. And today, if you see, Ras Al Khaimah is coming up with a casino. So it is definitely going to become a destination. Tomorrow, people are going to travel to Ras Al Khaimah in bulk. So in addition to that, when we have other projects also coming up in RAC, that is definitely going to enhance the place as well as the economy.
Do you have to work hand in hand with regulation also? Do you speak to government regulation and give them advice about certain strategy?
Yeah, see, for all these projects, definitely we need government intervention. No? So we're working on that as well. And we're also now coming out with another interesting project, which is to launch a facility for all tourists, which will include insurance as well as other support mechanisms for any tourist who just land at the airport, like this hotel booking, taxis, baggage handling, you name it, or visiting a destination, anything. It will be completely in one app. And the discussions are on. The project is just getting shaped. Now we have to start discussing with the government to make it a mandatory.
And is it like one of those JVs type of situation, or
Yes,
is
yes,
it
it's a JV.
okay? Because I'm actually traveling to Baku soon. Okay, by the time this episode comes out, I'll probably be back also, and like that is one of the things, right? Like I was like, hey, where do I book my tickets? Where do I book this? Where do I do that? If I go to like a tourist company, it's probably going to be really expensive. Like I wanna.
Yeah, so those all things is going to be taken care. Plus, another major section is the health insurance. Like, to suppose a tourist is coming here, he's getting sick or he falls sick, he has to be taken care.
Yeah.
So that is something which we are working currently now.
Yeah.
So that
all that fear is taken away, right? Like it would. I would imagine, like if that solution was there, like I would.
So these are the kind of projects that we focus on. Something our prime focus is that project at the end of the day should change the life of people in this place. So I think that's
both here and tourists as well, right? Yeah.
Are there any cool projects that you would like to work on that you haven't started yet or are not feasible, but you think would be interesting for this place?
Yes, we are looking at a project for setting up wellness center in one of the Emirates, which we are discussing. It will be a completely all-in-all wellness. We call it as the longevity park. So somebody who goes there. For example, if I'm going there at 60, I should come back as 20, 25. So that's a kind of, so we're working on many projects to combine into this longevity thing. We are working with a doctor for stem cells. We're setting up a clinic in.
This is an actual biological.
Yeah.
Wow.
You take the stem
I thought
cells.
This was
more
like yoga and meditation.
No. That is also there. Yoga is there. Meditation is there. We are going to align with people like Sadhguru, Sri Ravi Shankar, those kind of things. In addition, this anti-aging things like stem cells, taking your own stem cells, putting it back into you, making you younger. So all those things is something which because longevity is the trend now. People are all talking about longevity. So that is something which we are working on. And another important segment which we are working on is the education. I've told you all about the other projects. Education, we have already partnered with a company, and then we have started our first school in Dubai. We have taken over a school, and that is being managed well. We are going to acquire more schools. The idea of getting into education is, we call it affordable education. Because as you all know, education is an expensive affair in UAE.
Yeah.
It's not that even if both the parents are working, they are finding it difficult to fund these students. And imagine if you have 2 or 3 children, it becomes much worse. So what's happening is most of these children are sent back to their hometown to study because they're not able to afford. So in such a scenario, what happens is there's an emotional breakdown. The children are back home, the parents are working here. There is an emotional breakdown, and it affects the performances as well. So we are looking at, we have partnered with the like-minded, passionate people who are seeing education as education, not as a business, and trying to see how we can provide affordable education to the needy without thinking it as a business. Money will come. We are just working on a cost to cost. The idea is, see, when the family stays united, right, performance goes up with everyone. Even the parents are able to perform well in their job. So I think that is something which we are taken up, and I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah, and I think education is like a passion, like a field for me, right? Because I used to teach, and then like I've had really good teachers and really bad teachers, and like I know what the difference a good and a bad teacher can make. And I would assume you know, right? Like you started off teaching as well.
Yeah.
Do you? And I think this is a little deviation from a lot of the topics we've spoken about, but do you feel like the education as a system, right? Like affordability aside, everything aside, as a system, has it really changed? Because I would imagine what my mom studied, right? Like, my mom, my grandmom, they went to school. It was the same delivery mechanism that you will still see today, right? There is, for all the technology we speak of, all the innovation we speak of, this is one field that we are very adamant to change, right? Is that something you feel as well? And do you think, is there a solution out there for that?
No, there is a solution in the sense we need to, I think now that is what I think the regulatory bodies are now looking at, in the sense the quality of the teachers has to improve. Because if you see, traditionally in the expats who gets employed to the schools are predominantly housewives, right? Because I've experienced it in Oman when my children, so they don't, they don't come with an expertise in teaching. It's a skill. Like how you're driving a car, it's a skill, right? Anybody can drive any car, but if you have the talent, you know how to
race a car.
Yeah. So if a housewife comes into an education system by chance, right? There's a vacancy. Okay, somebody refers somebody. She has all the days she had been working in the home as a homemaker. She moves here, so there is a skill set that may not match. So today I think there is a regulatory mechanism that is going to be in place where I think they call it as a C plus certification or something, which all the teachers has to undergo, so that they follow a rhythm or a pattern for teaching. And today the teaching skills also has become much simpler, because today the gadgets, you have iPads, everything even a kindergarten student has got an iPad thing. And I think probably in another 2-3 years you will have AI teachers to teach your classrooms. So I think it's emerging, but it will happen.
Yeah, I think that standardization eventually will come. Like, I remember when I was leaving school, just 2018, and I'm dating myself. The teachers were now, so I studied in an Indian system. The teachers had now had to take a TOEFL exam to prove that they have a level of English. Before that, it didn't matter. And for many years, when I was a kid, I grew up in Saudi, many of the teachers could not speak English, and that's just how it was. So I think you're right, that standardization will come.
Will has to come. And but at least the people in this region, the students are much luckier, because at least they have the facilities. Imagine I was talking to somebody in Liberia. It's an African country, West Africa. The children are still writing on a paper, a slate, and all those things. They don't have, because power is not there, so they're not able to get into digital learning. So I think
Liberia is probably a very good example, but like a more important example, I would say, is India, right? Like, you're from India, I'm from India, he's from India. Like, I see my cousin, for example, went to engineering school, everything, still struggles to use a laptop, still struggles to use how Microsoft PowerPoint works, right? And it's not because he didn't have the opportunity to learn what Microsoft, it was just not given the importance, right? Like, hey, you do mechanical engineer, this is how your system works. Like the movie, right? Like, that's it, that's all they learn, and they don't learn anything apart from that, right? So I would imagine, like, even I come from an Indian school, like, I was lucky enough to have the infrastructure, the curiosity, and teachers to push me to learn these things. But do you also feel like it is important to place it into the standardization push these tools, hey, push these things, if you have the infrastructure, push
it has to be, but fortunately the present generation, there is no need to push, because they are eager to learn.
But disagree. If
you see the previous generation, the early or our generation, no, unless the stick is taken, we will not learn computers. No, I don't want to. So that is the kind. I still imagine the time when the computerization was happening in the banking sector, SBI and all those things. All those people with 50 years, 60 years, who are typical cashier or whatever it is, they found it very difficult to learn computers. But eventually it was mandatory. If they don't learn, out. So they were
it's just
forced.
Like, people resistant to change. Even in organizations today, when we bring in things like AI and stuff, like, people are resistant, but the grand scheme of things, this is how the world's going to
resistance is there everywhere. It is see, you won't believe, when I was working with the Murugappa Group as a logistics head of supply chain, when we were analyzing the cost, we found that the warehouse cost was the highest, or the logistics cost was the highest, that was contributing towards the whole product cost. So there was a target set saying that, we need to bring down the logistics cost. It was somewhere about 7 to 8%. Yeah. So coming back to the point of this, cutting down the logistics cost, what happened was that, since we had about 5 factories spreading out all over India, we had more than 52 warehouses in different parts of the states in India, and a huge manpower managing that, all own stuff. The first decision that I took was that to reduce that 52 by 50%. So what we did was that we winded up 50% of the warehouses, and we introduced the concept of third-party logistics, which was emerging at that point of time in India. So there are many players who are into third-party logistics, where we could assign them the responsibility. So what happened was that they used to maintain huge warehouses where we will take a portion. So there was a flexibility in the sense, and all those places we were using the vertical storage. So if I am able to take 5,000 square feet,
It's not just 5,000, it's
I can store up to 10 floor high, which was not there in our traditional warehouses. The traditional warehouses are all single layer warehouses. Okay, own staff, electricity bill, everything. It was the huge cost. It was happening. We cut it down. We gave it to third party. We set the KPIs. This is what the deliverables you have to perform. This is what the money that we will pay. We were able to bring down the logistics cost drastically, and over a period of time, 50% reduction, again reduction. Except 3 or 4 warehouses, all others were winded up, handed over to third party. Performance was super, because when you are having your own staff, restrictions, they have their own style of working. We were not able to cope up with the delivery schedules. Third party, no issues, because they deliver, we
They have
pay.
milestones.
They have KPIs. Simple. So I think
Another thing I feel like you'd be quite educated on is investing in Africa.
investing in Africa.
I find it so fascinating because this is a very I would not say underinvested into, but it's a region with a lot of promise, and where legacy systems, like for example, just UAE in 2008, 2010 until 2015 was a copycat industry, right? If anything came up in the West, it would come to UAE, and then from UAE it would expand to, this is the proving ground, then it would expand to GCC. You look at Uber, Careem, you look at Amazon Souk, right? So all those things were basically copycat. Africa still hasn't had legacy systems that we are used to in the UAE, which are luxuries for them there. So investing there would be quite interesting. But the landscape, because it's a massive continent, right? And I think 43 countries, but I could be wrong.
54.
54, yeah. So perhaps you're better
you're
positioned.
off by what, 10?
7. For no 9.
But now things are changed. Africa is now kind of, earlier the mindset of our people were that, no, we can't risk our lives in Africa. I mean, the sense, it's not a safe country. So, but today it is changing. And you won't believe, today I'm associated with many African countries. And I think in another 10 years, 2030, 2035, Africa will be the next biggest continent which the world will look forward to. They have huge talents, you won't believe. But unfortunately, today, most of the talents are outside Africa. But now they're all going back to Africa. So they have huge resources, which over this period was exploited by people, the people from various other countries who came there and exploited. So now things are changing. They have learned. The political system is changing. The younger people are coming into politics, who are visionaries, who want to make things happen in those countries. It will be
Are there specific industries we should be looking at?
in Africa.
Yeah,
Africa, one thing is anybody who says is the renewable energy, because power is a huge issue across Africa. Today, even today, there are power shortages everywhere.
Yeah, even like developed places like South Africa, right?
Be it hospitals, be it South African dollars got 12 to 15 hours power cut during the peak
that was
season.
one of the reasons why the party change and like was a factor in their elections as well, right?
So I think now renewable energy like solar and other things are kind of people are looking at it in a large manner to change. Plus, we are also working on certain projects like the smart cities. Liberia, we are now working on a project for transport mechanism. They don't have taxi systems like Uber or anything. So those are things that I think we are now working with the government and seeing how we can implement those things.
I would imagine these are grand visions, fantastic visions. And I think it's amazing that we were able to have this conversation, and for us to get we both come from like a now kind of a situation, right? What's now? I come from the Wheezy background where everything's 5 to 7 years. He comes from private equity where it's even shorter. And to talk to somebody who thinks at things at a very long term, sustainable level is very impressive. And for that, I would want to thank you for spending the time with us.
No, it's always a pleasure.
It was genuine pleasure having this chat with you. Was anything to add?
Yeah,
Did I cut off your
It's-
question?
It's okay. It's mind-boggling. I think we hit a hard stop on time, but it's mind-boggling how people sit there honestly and can have a vision for the next 50 years. Because, like you said, we don't take a second to sit and take perspective, take stock of your life, right? And for you to sit there and think, okay, I'm planning not for my generation, not for the next, but maybe the next, and it'll help 2 generations later, is brilliant. So thank you, honestly, for coming on, for teaching us, for giving us a second to take stock of our lives and perspective.
No, I enjoyed the talk. The sense, it was just like talking to.
Yeah,
A
we
friend.
we don't
Very
do
informal.
like
It
a
was not a formal kind of
yeah.
thing. So,
We try to keep it casual.
yeah. So I think that
we
is-
try to keep it casual.